But we're going to start with the opening day of the summit between the government and business, union and community leaders. On Tuesday, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese admitted how key the productivity challenge is to lifting living standards of Australians. That was echoed in Jim Chalmers' introductory remarks. The Treasurer said making the economy more productive over time was the best way to lift living standards and make people better off. And Chalmers even claimed that in one of the first cabinet meetings after the election, we decided to put productivity at the very core of a second term agenda. Funny how it wasn't actually there through the election campaign at all. After indicating in recent weeks that Labour's policy agenda for the next 3 years would not exceed the mandate won at the election in May, the Prime Minister said the summit would propose some ideas that can be immediately taken to Cabinet and others that will feed into the budget process. Removing planning restrictions is supposed to be a big idea coming out of this week's Economic Reform Roundtable, and on the second day of the Talk Fest, housing was front and centre, but actually little really emerged over and above trying to deliver that 1.2 million homes, the requirement to ease planning regulations and red tape, and evidently the continued belief in the build-to-rent rort, where big investors will essentially make housing a subscription service whilst getting great tax breaks along the way. In fact, there was an interesting case study in the reality of the property problem featured in the Financial Review. It was titled, "We've Got Cracks. Rose Bay Residents Fear Mascot Towers Repeat." The article brings to the fore the real issues below the surface, literally, and why the home building targets are unrealistic. The cornerstone of the problem is, well, overdevelopment. Right. But more broadly, the bottom line is this, that the property problem won't be solved in 3 days around a table in Canberra. The issues are deep-seated and structural, literally and metaphorical. And unfortunately, unless we tackle some of the underlying issues like migration and also think differently about the planning processes and, of course, think about the build-to-rent story, which is another rort in my view, things are going to get worse, not better. Chances are prices will continue to rise and the housing problem will grow ever bigger, despite all the government waffle.